Sometimes the bomb might explode without any warning.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
Hi guys, I'm Jade Stewart and I am a graphic designer as well as a YouTuber. So today I've been fiddling around and I thought I'd show you how to create this rather wonderful pattern that I've created here. This pattern here, I'm just trying to move all of these boards to one side because they're kind of getting in my way. So yeah, I thought I'd kind of show you how to create this wonderful kind of reed mat pattern that I've created here. You can, as I've done, I've basically turned it into a swatch. So what that means is that I can pretty much, if I want to, draw out an image like this and you get the repeating pattern over and over again. So it's pretty much works seamlessly, as you can see here, that it will line up with its others and so on and so forth and make the same thing. Quite simple to do. There are a few little intricate parts in it that we are going to show you how to do now. And yes, that is the we as in the royal we. So yeah, I'm just going to grab a new document and get started. So we'll go new. I'm just going to jump back up to something else. I just need to pull up my list of tools. So we're going to call this reed pattern. Now, you want this in custom size. Number of artboards is 1 because you don't need any others. Quite simple size, 600mm by 600mm. Set this as an RGB with a high raster effect of 300 pixels per inch, and preview mode is set as default. You want your orientation to be portrait rather than landscape, so we'll just click on that, make sure that's there. Now I'm just going to click OK. What's the, I want set as, yeah, go OK, wait for that to load. Right, now after that what I want to do is I want to create a rectangle, so I'll just if I go Command Shift M, that gives me the rectangle option. So if I just go Alt M, and that will bring up these rectangle options. Now from there what I want is I want a rectangle that's a width of 100. God. There we go. Try that again. So Alt M, click down, and you just want your 100 width, that's 100mm by 50mm. So that draws out this rather nice box. You don't want it to have an outline, so it would be no outline. Just select that so it doesn't get that black thing around the edge of it. Next, what I'm going to do is I've set the stroke to none, and what I now want to do is I want to go and select the gradient tool. So grab the gradient tool from here. Now I need the gradient to have the following colours. So I'm going to have one here which will be a colour, well, I'm just going to randomly select this first of all so I can get the colour options up. Onto that and then double click again. Should be able to go back to this, which is your colour palette. Now what you want to select is your first one being your R as 97. If we just tab down it will go down to the next one, and your green as 60, and your black as 42, which should give you a kind of a dark brown kind of colour. As we can see here, it's dark brown here. Now I need another one of these. So if you just single click there with your left click, and then double click again and go back to your colour palette. For this one you want a setting in the red of 216 and the green of 166 and the black of 93. Okay, so that gives you that kind of yellowy, kind of browny, that off brown cream almost colour. Now, how many of these do I need again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So I want to select one more. That will give me 4. Now I want this one to be 255 by 242 and 191. So that sets that colour to a creamy white, I believe. Yeah, kind of off white almost, sort of yellowy white colour. And then we want one more, and we want to adjust this to 247 to 214 to 132. Okay, so if I now click off of that, I get a more kind of in-depth yellowy colour. Now I'm going to go to this final one, which is my 5th one. Double click there, select colour again, go back to this and set that to 238 to 214 to 168. Okay, so that's now set to that. Okay, so you get a more kind of a pinky hue on that one. So you'll end up with something that looks like this. Now I want to adjust this so it's not at the 0 angle, I want it to be at 90 degrees. So I'm just going to set that a little bit further. Do that manually, just go there. Oh, not 99, 90. So that gives us straight up kind of colour. Now if you fiddle around with these a bit, you can kind of move them a bit more in. Now that gives you that. So that's the first stage of this. Now what we want to do is we want to add some sliders in between these. So the edges still need to be the same as these ones here. So we've got this one, this brown, which is set at the 97, 60 and 42, and the other which is set at the 238, 214, 168. Okay, so now what we want to do, if I click here, that will produce another one which has slightly less than that, so it's a bit more brown. But what I want to do is I want to drag this kind of up here, because what we start to do is we start to get these lines in between. So I'm going to grab that, push that there, push that a little bit further there. So this kind of gives it that more line effect, so you start to get these separations. So we'll go onto that and grab that again and pull that over to here. So you can already see we're starting to kind of build up this effect. So what we want to do is just carry on doing this. So this will take quite a while, I'll be honest. So you start to get this thinner line here. So what we want to do is just carry on like that, building up. already we've got this quite nice kind of patterny, kind of almost textured reed feel to this, as you can see. So I just kept on filling these to get the pattern that I wanted. So I'm going to get rid of this one that I've accidentally created, which I don't need. Okay, so I want to select this, and what I want to do is Command C. So like we were talking about last time, this is how you would actually drop your image in front. So if I drop this layer down here, you can see that there's a path there, which is this one here. So if I go Command C and then Command F, what that does is that duplicates this layer and puts it in front. So what I now want to do is grab this and fill it with a linear gradient with the following. So that's still set at linear there, but we want this set to 0 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this, and it switches our kind of reed pattern to a linear pattern, which looks a bit different. But what I want to do is I want to get rid of as many of these as possible. Whoops. I want to get rid of as many of these as I possibly can. So I'm going to just carry on deleting them until I've got 5. So we've got 1. There we go, 5. So this one is going to be set at more of a black colour, I think. So if I go 147 and set that to 149 and set that to 152. Okay, so that's more of your grey colour now, and what I want to now do is pull this one down here and pull another one of these down here. It's kind of a purpley grey almost, so this will give us our shadow overlay. So I'm just going to pull these out a bit so they stretch until that kind of equal distance. Then what I want to do is I want to set this to 35, 31 and 32, which should give us our black, or as close to a black as possible. I mean, if you want true black, it would be 0, 0 and 0. I think it would be 0. I can never remember these, I'll be honest. Set that to 0 and that to 0. That should be complete lack of colour and gives you black. So yeah, we don't want quite complete black, so I'm going to go 35, 31 and 32. I want to replicate that at this end as well. So we're going to go back to here, double click, 31, oh no, not 31. Okay, so now you can see the kind of dead centre, but I don't want that completely really dead centre, so I'm going to drag that over so it goes a bit over more to that side. Yeah, kind of what I wanted. So now that we've got that, we've set the angle to 0. What we also want to do is go to the transparency palette, which is this one here. So go to transparency, and I'm going to select a hard light blending mode. So this one's the blending mode here. So if we just go to hard light, you can see it kind of gives it quite a dark, harsh feeling. But what I also want to do is I want to set this opacity down. So I'm going to set the opacity to 30, I think. So I'll set it to 30. Okay. So now we're pretty much nearly done now. So now there's a couple more steps that I need to do. I need to show you. So I need to select my back rectangle. So if I lock that one off, it means I can't pick it up accidentally. Oh no, it still means I can. No, I haven't picked up the right one. So I then go Command C again, and then Command F. Drop it in front, but I want it in front of the actual gradient that I just created. So what we want to now do is just lock off these two layers so I can't affect those. And I want to go back to transparency. Now what I want to do is I want to create an overlay. So you don't just have that look on there because it looks a bit greyed out. So you can't quite see that properly. I'm not quite happy with it like that. I want to give it more of the kind of normal, like this style of effect, where it looks a bit more shiny almost. And we want to go back to the transparency panel, click that as overlay. So it kind of gives it this yellowed out look there. It's kind of a bit too bright in my opinion. It kind of looks makes it almost look quite washed out and overexposed. So if I drop that down to 25, it's alright, but let's have it more about a 30 opacity, let's say. So it kind of gives it that little bit of a lift around there. It looks quite nice like that. Quite happy with that. So what I want to do is I'm going to unlock all of these so I can access all of them. Grab all the groups together, so I've selected everything, and just hit Command and G, which will group everything together. Now, this is where things start to get a little bit interesting. Okay, if we go back to this and grab the transform panel from there, which is already open actually, so that's probably why it's not loading. So if I'm going to alter the X and Y coordinates, so you want to make sure that your reference point is set to your corner, not to the centre, because that means it will adjust everything, the X and Y, from the centre rather than from the corner. So we just grab that, set that to the corner, and go 0 and 0, so it puts it right up against the side of our outer area. And if we click that again and set this Y as 0, drops it right into the top corner. Now what you want is you want the following dimensions: width of 100 and height of 50 millimeters, which we should have there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to Command C again, and then Command V. So as you can see, it's just duplicated our group. So what I want to do is I want to go back to this panel and adjust the angle of this. We just drop the drop down to 90 degrees, so it gives us this straight angle here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this into a position of, no, want that to a position of 50, which is the side. Sorry, 50, which should just drop down below this one here, and this as 0. So that just drops these two like this. So you've almost got this kind of overlay here, this upside down L shape, let's just call it for want of a better word. Now, once we've done that, select both of the groups here, so grab these two here, and I'm going to adjust the rotation of these again. So I'm going to rotate these out to 45 degrees. So it kind of goes at this kind of angled pattern. If you know anything about weaving, you can kind of guess where this is going from now on. So what we then do is to adjust the Y to -70, that's correct. And yes, that's it. What you want to do is you want to adjust the width of the whole thing to 100, so that will kind of make it look a bit skewed. But you want the height to be 125. Okay, so you get your same image again, but it kind of shifts it up a little bit. Okay, you need to move these back to a offset position again. So this is going to be -50, and this is going to be -50 again. So it puts it just outside of our bounding box for our actual artboard. Okay, so you still should have this set as your corner here. You should have the values for this set at 50, should be set for your corner reference point there. Your Y value set at -50, and your height being 125, width being 100 millimeters. Okay, and what we're now going to do is we are going to go to Effect, Distort and Transform. What I want to then do is grab the Transform panel from here. Now I want to have a number of copies of 12, and that needs to be 100, 100, and move 50 millimeters. And basically, as you can see from the preview, what it does is it replicates that across there. Okay, so that goes for that. Now what we want to do now is go back into this, Distort and Transform, Transform again, so apply new effect. So you want for this one, I can't exactly remember, oh yeah, you want to drop to vertical of 100, number of copies 6, how does it, it's from the centre point, yeah, it goes from the centre point. Okay, number of copies 6, everything else set okay, and there we go. So that's given us our basic read, mat, weave pattern. Okay, now there's a couple more things to do before we finish up on this. Now what you want to do is you want to then go to Object, Expand Appearance, and that should select the whole thing. So if I zoom out a little bit, you should be able to see the whole thing there. So I'm just going to get rid of that for a minute. What we now got here is a whole selected pattern. So what you now want to do is you want to just create a new rectangle. So if I just grab it as here, Alt and M, just create that. 600 millimeters by 600 millimeters. Click that. Obviously it's going to create its reference point as the center. I didn't set it to be offset. Now what I want to do is grab the layer itself, which is this one. So I've dropped that behind there. So what we now want to do is select all of these and go to your swatches panel, which is just up here. Okay, so select everything. Oops, I just created a to your arrow. Select everything, including the random box that you've created, which should be around that area there. Okay. With your null everything. Okay, now you just select the whole piece. Grab everything and go to your swatches panel, drag this straight onto here and drop it in the swatches. What I do now is just, if I delete that, it still stays in my swatches. So what I can now do is grab a polygon, grab a fill as swatch of that, and just draw out a polygon. So now we have a polygon which is perfectly done in the read pattern that we created earlier.
You've been watching the Hippie G2O channel. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe.